Welcome, friends, to another episode of Camp Cinema. Tonight, I'm excited to bring you my Steelbook collection. You may want to grab a drink and some popcorn. This video may run a little bit longer than you are used to from this channel. But without further ado, we're just going to jump in and get started. This Steelbook I actually just picked up. I found it on Amazon. I love this movie. Takes me back to my childhood and was very excited to come across it. And that is Red Dawn. This is one of those movies that, as I said, as a kid, absolutely loved it. Probably watched it 1,000 times. That may be an exaggeration, but definitely 100 times for sure. And I was super pumped to get the Steelbook. You do get a 4K version and a Blu-ray version in here. Just a fantastic Steelbook, and I do believe this is still available on Amazon. Coming up second, another movie from childhood that any version that comes out of this I have to own. I think I probably own it about 8 times at this point. But I do have the Steelbook of They Live. This is probably one of the best Steelbooks to come out in some years past, for sure. The artwork on this is absolutely phenomenal. This was done by Scream Factory. And I gotta tell you, they absolutely killed it with this artwork on this Steelbook. Definitely one of my favorites in the collection. Absolutely love this movie. If this is a movie you have not seen, this is a go out and buy it after you watch this video, and watch it because this is a must-see film. Once again, get the 2 discs. Just fantastic, and with the whole presentation of it open. One of my all-time favorite Steelbooks, for sure. Moving on to another incredible Steelbook with incredible artwork, and I'm so happy to have it, and that is going to be none other than Army of Darkness. This is another one of those movies, came out, and I guess this would have been about 92. So I would have probably just been starting to come out of high school at that time. Yes, that means I'm old. But anyways, this movie is absolutely fantastic. Kind of took that Evil Dead trilogy and I guess like turned it on its head a little bit. It wasn't as horror as Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, but it really gave the character Ash a whole new arc, and you really got to see that comedy element and some fantastic Sam Raimi filming and special effects on this movie. And once again, the artwork is phenomenal on here. You get 3 discs in this bad boy. 4 discs. 4 discs. And what a set. This is a fantastic set. If you can still get this, I highly recommend doing so. This one I know is out of print, and it is one of my all-time favorite movies. Love everything about this movie. The cheese, the gore, Steve Johnson's masterpiece as far as special effects, and of course that is Night of the Demons. This is one of those movies that if you are a fan of practical effects and practical makeup, this is the movie to watch, because it is a clinic on how to do special effect makeup. Just beautiful monster designs. Angela is fantastic in this. Of course, you have Linnea Quigley. She was kind of the scream queen in the 80s, if you will. She was in just about every movie out there. Constantly naked. Yay for all of us teenage boys. And yeah, Night of the Demons. Definitely so happy to have this in my collection, and I do know that this one is out of print, and people are kind of being douches on eBay with it. They want a lot of money. Just wait, because you're starting to see things that are starting to come back into reprint. I even have a few. So just wait and see what happens. There may be another version of a Steelbook coming out. Don't give some guy $200 because, come on now. Anywho, moving on to the next. Pumpkinhead. This is a classic creature feature done by Stan Winston. Love the effects in here. Love the Pumpkinhead himself. The creature is absolutely stellar. I really like this Steelbook. Nice colors on here. Pumpkinhead looks spectacular on the cover. You have the nice like tree and the roots where he came from. You open it up and you get the whole presentation. Very nice. And then of course inside you do have Lance Hendrickson on the disc here. This is a fantastic Steelbook. This one is still out there. I believe that you can actually get this off Amazon, and I do believe that it's actually affordable. So you may want to look into that if you haven't gotten this one, because I do know that it is going out of print. I know that Scream Factory only has a limited run of these left. So, you know, and they're selling on Amazon too. So if you want it, I would go out and get it now. This is one of those hard to find, rare Steelbooks. They only did a small pressing of these, if you will, and I am super stoked to have it in my collection, and that is John Carpenter's The Fog. I actually keep that one in one of these little plastic protective things because that it is rare and you don't see this one very often. They're out there on eBay, but once again, you're gonna pay way too much money for it, so I wouldn't do that. But as I said, I am super thrilled to have this Steelbook in my collection. The Fog, you got Stevie sitting up in the light tower, and then of course your shipmates, or pirates if you will, the ghosts of the ship wandering around. This is one of those movies that really creeped me out as a kid, you know, that mystery of what's out there and you truly can't see, you know, 2 feet in front of your face. They could be standing right here and you wouldn't even know it. The Fog was definitely one of those movies that really creeped me out. And of course, anything with Tom Atkins, I am going to watch. It was funny, I introduced my son to Night of the Creeps, and he looks at me after the end of that movie and he goes, "Dad, you know what? Tom Atkins is a national treasure." And you know what? He is 100% correct. All right. Stepping away, not necessarily a horror film, if you will, but a fantastic movie in my opinion. Really love it. Always watch it during the holiday season, and that of course is going to be Nightmare Before Christmas. The effects in here, and it's so, people want to say this is a Tim Burton film. This is not a Tim Burton film. Tim Burton produced it. He did not direct this movie. Danny Elfman does a spectacular job as always with the score and with the music and with the voice of Jack Skellington. You have Chris Sarandon. You have so many fantastic people in this movie. Love this Steelbook too, with the Jack Skellington on the front, then on the back. Just love this Steelbook. And then of course inside you do get the disc. It is fantastic. This, I believe, you can still get out there as well. I'm not entirely sure, but I do believe that this one is still available. Moving on. And this one is a classic Steelbook. I have had this one for many years. And that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This was one of the first ones that, I believe this was the first Steelbook for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this came out years ago. And it had the documentary about the making of, where I had never seen that before, and watching that and going through it, absolutely awesome. And you really felt bad for the cast of this movie, the heat in Texas, everything that they had to deal with. And then of course your producers were basically the mafia. So for many years, no one on this movie ever made a dime from this movie because the mafia took it all. So it's a very interesting story about one of the greatest horror films ever made. This is a must-own. As I said, you're not going to find this one unless you dive into the eBay well. I really have no idea how much people want for this, because there has been several other Texas Chainsaw Massacre Steelbooks that have come out. I actually have those as well. So I'm not sure if you wanted to get your hands on this one. It's probably out on eBay. I just have no idea what people are trying to ask for it. Moving on. This is one of those movies that a lot of people are on the fence about, and I'm going to be honest, I personally thought it was fantastic. There's a few things that maybe I would have changed, but I'm glad to have the Steelbook and to own it, and that is Rob Zombie's 2007 Halloween. I thought that this is probably one of Rob Zombie's better movies. I'll say that his best, in my personal opinion, is going to be Lords of Salem, but I feel that the art direction of this Halloween and the latter half of it, when Tyler Mane is Michael Myers, Tyler Mane does a spectacular job. Wayne Toth, who did all the makeup effects and made the mask and everything, I mean, that mask looked like it was changing expressions when it's not. That's a credit to Wayne Toth. That's a credit to Tyler Mane for how well he played the part. I thought Scout Compton-Taylor was really good as Laurie Strode. I liked the whole kind of different portrayal of her. The kid, Ferg, something like that. You know, for his role, he did a good job. I guess if I have a gripe with this movie, it is going to be that, you know, it was so, the first half is so like white trashy, and that's trying to give you an explanation of why Michael is the way Michael is. I didn't feel like we really needed that, but the art direction in this, the way the movie looks, and of course Tyler Mane's performance as Michael Myers is stellar. This is another Steelbook that I am super happy to have, and this is going to be the original Ghostbusters. I believe this one may still be out there. I'm not sure. I haven't looked again. I know that they also have a Ghostbusters 2 Steelbook that's very nice. But I, of course, am a major fan of the original Ghostbuster, and so I had to have this Steelbook. Really nice artwork. You open up the entire thing. Nice presentation, of course. You do get the Blu-ray disc in here, also with a little Ghostbusters logo. So that is the Ghostbusters Steelbook. This is going to be another one of those that's a little bit on the rarer side, I think. I don't think you can really find these anymore, and I am pumped to have it, and I do have one of those little plastic sleeves over it, if you will. Well, actually, it's the plastic sleeve that came with it. I just actually managed to keep it. And that is Ghost in a Shell. This is one of those sci-fi animes that, you know, just caught everybody. This was kind of like Akira. This was one of those that everybody saw. If you were into anime, or even if you weren't into anime, most people have seen Ghost in a Shell. And no, I'm not talking about that dog shit that had Scarlett Johansson. This is the original anime Ghost in a Shell, and very thrilled to have this Steelbook in my collection. Another non-horror, if you will, but one of my favorite movies of all time, and I am super stoked to have this one as well, and that is going to be The Blues Brothers. This is classic American cinema. You want to see Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi at their heights of talent, and John Landis really just absolutely killing it. The Blues Brothers is the way to go. Really like this Steelbook. It's just, I like the whole presentation, and it's just a very basic Blu-ray inside, but very cool, and super pumped to have this Steelbook. One of my favorite Steelbooks, because I love the artwork and everything about it, is the Halloween 2. Michael in flames here. This is just a fantastic image. Love this Steelbook. This was one that I had to go on the hunt for. I missed it when it first came out from Scream Factory. These sold out really quick. I was fortunate to find somebody on eBay who was not being too outrageous with what they wanted to charge for it, so I was able to pick it up for a pretty decent price, and I am very, very happy to have it. Of course, you open up the whole thing, and it is the scene with Michael walking in flames with Laurie hiding behind the counter. 2-disc set. Very happy to have this one in my collection. As I said, I had to go hunting for it, and I was glad that I got it for a decent price. This is another one of those ones that I have not seen too many of, and I'm a big fan of it, and I will have to say that this is hands down my favorite horror film, if you will. You know, it's not my favorite movie, but it's my favorite horror film of its genre, and that is going to be Return of the Living Dead. What Dan O'Bannon did with this movie is, it's pure genius. He took very, very dark material and gave it a comedic edge without overdoing it. That's why this movie works so well, because the horror is real, but the natural comedy that comes out of the situations is also real, and that's why this movie is as stellar as it is. And hats off to Dan O'Bannon for creating this film for fans like me to cheese on. This is a movie that I probably watch at least 2 times a year, if not more. Yeah, Return of the Living Dead Steelbook. Super stoked to have that. This is another one that I had to go out on the eBays and find, but I really wanted it, and that is going to be Demons and Demons 2 Steelbook. This is a region-locked one, so you need to have, well, with the 4K, you don't need to have the region-free, if you will. But if you're not 4K, this will not work in your players. So, but I love this presentation. I love these movies. They're just, you know, that Italian 80s horror. The gore factor is so spectacular. The artwork on here is fantastic. Really like Demons 2 artwork on the back here. And so I'm super pumped to have this one in my catalog. All right, on to the next one, which is one of my favorites. None other than Fright Night. I was super, super pleased to get this Steelbook when it first came out. I know a lot of people are bent out of shape because it's actually getting reissued or has been reissued. And some people went out and spent a lot of money hunting this down on eBay and places, and then it got a reissue out there. You know what? I don't mind reissues. It allows people who didn't get it the first round to be able to get it another time, because everyone who is a fan should be able to get the Fright Night Steelbook. Real big fan of the Jerry Dandridge image on the back. This is one of my favorite Steelbooks to come out. You get 3 DVDs on here. One which is special features, which is going to have the You're So Cool Brewster doc on it. This is a must-own. If you like Fright Night, go out, seek this one out, see if it is out there and available. Again, if it is, a must-own. Moving on to another one that you just don't see very often, and that I am super stoked to have in my collection, and that is going to be this Predator Steelbook. Look at that artwork on there. You've got Dutch and the Predator, and then I love the back with the simplicity of the knife with the scorpion on it. This, of course, is one of the best sci-fi movies to ever be made. Kevin Peter Hall in the suit of the Predator, that presence, and all of us remember the first time we saw this movie, and he actually removes that mask, and you see the mandibles and the whole facial features. That thing was alive, okay? It was kind of like when you first saw Jurassic Park and you saw the T-Rex, you're like, that's really a T-Rex. They found one, they made one, and there it is. That's how I felt about Predator. None of the sequels have ever lived up to the original. You know, the Predator 2 was okay. Then it was just garbage after garbage after garbage until the newest iteration that has come out, which was Prey. And that one was okay, except for the final look of the Predator without the mask. Not a big fan, but this is an all-time classic and a must-own. Another that you just don't see that often, that I'm super stoked to have. One of my favorite movies from the 80s and one of my favorite movies from John Carpenter, and it does not get talked about that much, and that's going to be Christine. This is one of Stephen King's. John Carpenter took huge liberties with this. It does not really follow the book at all. I mean, he basically took the idea of the car possessed and ran with it, but I'm okay with that because what he did, and Keith Gordon is Arnie Cunningham, the way that this movie is put together, the soundtrack, the score, that scene where Christine is destroyed in the shop, and Arnie walks away and he was just like, okay, show me. And you hear the and the headlights come on and that music comes on for that whole sequence of like Christine seducing Arnie as she puts herself back together. Fantastic. Super, super pleased to have this Steelbook in my collection. As I talked about, I said I had a couple of the versions of this, and this is going to be the recent release of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in Steelbook. This is one of those movies that pretty much anytime they put out a copy or version, I am going to pick it up. Being a collector, it's one of those that it's iconic. The movie is iconic. The character of Leatherface is iconic. Once again, much like Predator, this is one of those movies that none of the sequels have ever touched. Ever. Not even close. I know that people love Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. You know, I think that it's okay, but this movie is a nightmare, and it is spectacular. And yes, pretty much any form that they put this out in, I'm going to pick it up. It's pretty bare bones. Just comes with the disc. The Steelbook, though, very nice. Glad to have it in the collection. Now, here's another one that I have not opened yet. This is my all-time favorite movie ever. None other than Jaws. This was a Best Buy exclusive Steelbook. This is out of print, of course. This movie, I can't say enough about this film. In my humble opinion, this is the greatest film to ever be made. It is pure genius. It is not about the shark. It's about those three characters on the boat hunting the shark. And that, of course, is Quint, Hooper, and Chief Brody. Several of my motorcycles have been named after the characters in this movie. Just the all-time greatest film ever made. This is one of those that I haven't taken it out because it actually just sits with all my Jaws collectibles and such. So, yeah, of course, thrilled to own Jaws Steelbook for sure. All right, and we are coming to the end. I did actually forget one, and it's up over there, and I'm not going to walk over there and grab it because then there would just be dead air. But it is an American Werewolf in London Steelbook. It's kind of one of the rare ones. It's up on a display, kind of in a case with some things. So I do have that. But these last ones, they're all just, I'm going to ball them together, so not have to go through each individual one. But yes, I do have the first 4 Friday the 13th Steelbooks. These were all anniversary Steelbooks as they came out. I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Only 2 has been opened, and that was because I didn't get it fast enough when it first came out, and I had to get it used, so it was already opened. The other 3 are still in the plastic, and that's just because I have 20 versions of each one of these, so I really didn't have to open them to watch it. You know, I have the whole huge Friday the 13th Screenbox presentation, which is fantastic, and all of those movies look great. But yeah, as a collector, of course, I had to have these. All the artwork is great. Love the part 4. Of course, part 3, 2, and 1. Yeah, so Friday the 13th is another one of those franchises that pretty much if they put something out, I'm going to purchase it because I'm a sucker. And that's basically what it boils down to. But anyways, I know that a lot of you probably feel the same. We are collectors. We love collecting. And there are certain things that when you have one, you have to have them all. And there's certain movies and franchises that I definitely do that on. Well, I do truly hope that you enjoyed this Steelbook edition of Camp Cinema. For all of you who are new to this channel, thank you so much for clicking on it and checking it out. If you dig what you see, please subscribe. Really helps the channel out, and you know, I just truly do enjoy doing these videos. So as always, most important, my friends, be kind to one another and stay safe out there. Thanks a lot.